Good evening. Welcome to the December 12th, 2023 meeting of Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh.
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, published as legal notice in the Suburban Trends and Daily Record newspapers, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me for a pledge of allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all of the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen. Ms. Marsh, if you please call the roll.
Mr. Dracy?
Present.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Hurd?
Here.
Mrs. Russell?
Here.
Mayor Cole?
Here. Next on the agenda is presentations, Pequannock Township Historical Society on the Martin Berry House.
We'll be splitting your microphone. Hi, I'm Paul Havman, head of the Pequannock Township Historical Society. Hello, Paul. Hello, greetings all. Mayor, council, all. First off, before I begin, we would just like to thank you all again for your unwavering support of the Martin Berry House project. But a much longer road than any of us envisioned in the beginning. But I think we can all agree the end result was well worth it. And the place looks like as good as it has ever looked, including in its heyday, however many years back that was. And I think that Charles and Eleanor Bogert would be justly proud of what we have accomplished so far. Now it's time to move on to the next phase, which would be a landscaping effort. As the slide shows you, the house sits on 2 3/4 acres. There is a large meadow to the south between the house and Stefano's, and a smaller meadow to the northwest, which is now being exposed by the sewer project. We would like to enlist your assistance one more time in getting a grant for a landscape plan so that the property can be restored to its former glory and better enjoyed by the community. This is the site plan that you see on the poster. None of it's very visible. We'll work on that. We have a series of photos just to let you see what the property looks like today. This northeast wooded area is the one that's up close to the vac shack and all of that. That would be around in this area here. It's a nice sizable area. It lies to the right of the chicken coop. With a little TLC, it could be cleaned up and used for, just maybe some nice plantings. That's what the plan would tell us. The infamous chicken coop, that's a whole other discussion, but it's part of the landscape, so it needs to be included. The northwest meadow is the big one. That's this whole area over here, to the left of the chicken coop and running pretty much almost the length. Would be a nice venue for any number of outdoor events. The driveway, that would be this horseshoe here that comes off of Cedar Road. It needs a little TLC. I don't know if that's going to fall within the scope of the landscape plan or if that's something you all want to talk about dumping some gravel on it, but it should be part of the plan regardless. The little caption that you can't read there just points out that pruning the hedges and such is part of the HMR site plan as well. That's pretty much a no-brainer. The entrance off of Route 23 it provides a little bit of a challenge, what with having just the shoulder there for access. But it represents, yeah, of course. It represents more parking. There's a bunch of scrub back over here, just as you come into the driveway, which could be utilized for additional parking. Again, that's one of the aspects of the landscape plan. The well, unfortunately, has been vandalized. It used to look a lot nicer than that, but again, all part of the plan. The large meadow to the south, it's quite a large area. It's not even really captured here, but it runs from the highway all the way over past the Cedar Road driveway off of this map, and right into one of the neighbors' properties.
Oh, yeah, I know where it is.
It was,
On the bottom.
from our understanding, it was once a garden. There might have been plans to put other things there. If you wander around and look at it, you can kind of see the vestiges of what the Bogarts had in mind for that place. The summer kitchen walk, right along here as you come up from the lower driveway. It's got its own, it would make a nice place for some interesting, maybe even historic plantings. The whole front of the house could use that kind of attention too. Eleanor did what she could after Charlie passed as far as taking the place over, even enlisting the aid of a handyman, but it was just too much for her. Things are overgrown, some are dead plants. Again, something all part of the, hopefully, landscape plan. Yes, this again points out the lower Route 23 driveway over here. The slides are a little out of order, sorry. That's why we're here. We're here to ask you to consider applying for a grant for a landscape plan by a competent landscape architect. HMR knows of one such. That's what the proposal is that you were handed. Strictly as a benchmark, it's kind of preliminary since they haven't come out to the property to view it for themselves, but HMR would have filled them in on all of that. We need a plan. These are the slate steps that lead up from the meadow to the house. We need a plan to make the property look beautiful again. And that's the extent of it. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
I turn it over to Ed Engelbart, who has a few words of his own.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today on behalf of myself and other individuals here for the Pequannock Township Historic Society. My name is Edward Engelbart. I live at 603 Madison Green, Pompton Plains, located at Cedar Crest at the northern end of Pompton Plains. I am here for a number of reasons, and among those reasons, I am a trustee of the Pequannock Township Historic Society, and I will be making a presentation to the council for further support for the Martinberry House. As you know, the Martinberry House is designated by state and national registry. It is also an institution that in the 1930s received an award from the Library of Congress, which at that time wanted to preserve this particular historic home in Pequannock Township. In addition, it is a institution, a home, that, as you know, goes back to 1720. It is also a facility that has received previous grants from the Township of Pequannock as well as from the Morris County Historic Preservation Trust Fund Advisory Board, which I think is the longest named board in Morris County. So obviously, at some point, I'll be testing you on that to make sure you know the name of that group that is located in Morristown, New Jersey. Essentially, what I'll be doing here is presenting a draft proposal for the Martinberry landscaping site and improvement, and that was initially submitted on December 7th, 2023 to the town. It was submitted to Kirk Leisure, HMS Architects, 821 Alexander Road, Princeton, New Jersey, and it was submitted to them by ETM Associates at 1202 Raritan Avenue, Highland Park. They are a landscape architect firm specializing in public space design, public space management, and project management. Myself, I am a former member of the Pequannock Town Council. I am affiliated with the Pequannock Township historical community. I am the town historian. I am a member of the Pequannock Township Historic District Commission and former member for 19 years of the Morris County Historic Preservation Trust Fund Advisory Board, and have participated in the analysis of $58 million of requests through that board, and got involved in approving, which was then submitted to the county commissioners. I still like the word freeholders since it's more antique in quality. And I was on that board for 19 years, and I had involvement in $38 million worth of grants that had occurred and was approved by the commissioners of Morris County. Myself, I've also been involved in supporting the town's purchase of the Pequannock Railroad Station, which is officially known as the Pot and Plains Railroad Station, now the Museum of Pequannock Township, and I've also been involved in supporting the town's purchase of the historic Martinberry House, which, as you know, goes back to about 1720. I was a teacher for 34 years at the Ramapo Indian Hills Regional High School, and I spent, prior to that, 2 years in the United States Peace Corps in Ethiopia. While there, I was a teacher in a high school, and I spent 1 month out in rural areas inoculating Ethiopians against smallpox. My involvement here is as being a trustee of the Historic Society, and we are interested in improving the site and primarily seeking funding for an application to the Morris County Historic Preservation Trust Fund Advisory Board for a draft plan proposal for the Martinberry House, which, as you know, is owned by the Township of Pequannock and managed by the Pequannock Township Historic Society, and we're seeking basically from the township funding for a landscape site plan improvement to be put together together by ETM Associates, which is recommended by HMN Architects that have been involved in past as well as current restoration of the Martin Berry House. And what we are seeking is support from the Township of Pequannock through your involvement in supporting that application to the Preservation Board of Morris County. And as you know, the town over the years has contributed to the restoration of this house as well as the society in itself as well. The society is seeking the sum of a 20% grant of about $13,000 from the Township of Pequannock, which has a historic open space and historic preservation trust fund. And if I recall, Bob Osteich, your attorney, had been involved in that designation a number of years ago, and we are pleased that the town has made that commitment, and the residents of Pequannock have participated in that decision-making through a referendum. We also are making application to the County Preservation Board simply because everybody who owns property in Pequannock has to contribute to that fund. And this is one way we can get back some of those monies in regard to what has been contributed by the residents, taxpayers of Pequannock. And what we're seeking all together, when this is all done, is about $68,000. Much of it will come from the County Preservation Board on a basis of 20/80. The town will come up with 20%. The county, if approved, will come up with 80%. And this is one way that the residents can get back some of that contribution that they've made to the County Preservation Board through the Open Space Program and Historic Preservation Program that exists. All of this ultimately will have to be approved by the Morris County Commissioners, but we're hoping that you will support this program. As I said, the full cost of the program will be $68,000, and I'll add the $875, with 80% of the funding coming from the county, and the town will come up with just 20%. As well as you know, that the Historic Society, which manages the Martin Berry House, has also made contributions to the development and restoration of the Martin Berry House. The group that is recommended by HMS Associates is called TM Associates, an LLC team, which propose a scope of work that will include a conceptual plan to include the following. They will engage in project management, quality control, project budget adherence, preservation, project scheduling, design development, and 100% bid documents that will be necessary in order to start and conclude this project. They will be meeting with the HMR firm and the Morris County Historic Preservation Fund Board and staff. The scope of the work that we're asking for support for by ETM Associates will include entry drive, parking issues, vegetation cleaning and removal, site lighting for walkway safety and security protection. As you know, from time to time, there have been persons who have been at the site, and there has been some safety concerns where the police, and we want to thank the police force for keeping an eye on the Martin Berry House, which is the property of the Township of Pequannock. And it's a way of also making sure that the people who utilize this facility will always be protected. In addition, what this landscaping firm would do will provide plantings, trees, shrubs, ground cover, and other things dealing with a landscaping proposal. There will also be site furnishings and amenities, such things as benches, picnic tables, and other things that will be looked into by this firm and made available to the public at the site. And lastly, one of the most important factors is pathway and paving improvement. Right now, it is difficult to go to the site, and we want to obviously thank the township for the sewer project that is benefiting a number of businesses, as residents, as well as the Martinbury site. And we are pleased with that situation. When you make application to the Preservation Board at the county headquarters, there is part of that board who I have known for right now since 2003, a person by the name of Ann Cranberry. And Ann Cranberry is a historic landscape specialist that has been with the board, as I said, from 2003 right up until this year. And she is a person that can be utilized, as well as the firm that we're asking financial support for. If there are any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them. However, there are other members of our society here that would be happy to participate if questions are asked of them. But overall, I want to thank the town council and the residents of Pequannock for the support of this rather remarkable home that goes back to 1720. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed. I have a question. Sure. Ed, you just keep on giving back to the community, don't you? Councilman.
Well, all I know is you have been very helpful in this process with the railroad station as well as with the Martinbury House. And we are thankful for the town council for their support. This is a special house. It is one of the oldest homes, in the state of New Jersey. And I think this community can be very proud of that, and can also be proud of the fact that there are persons out here and persons on this dais who have supported that project and its restoration. And I think we were very, very fortunate that there was a woman by the name of Eleanor Bogut that sold it to the town at a very, very reasonable price. And I want to obviously thank the board for their support of the restoration of this rather remarkable site. And needless to say, obviously, I think the people of Pequannock have been well served by this board and other board members over the years in the preservation of this.
Well, the history, it's part of our DNA, right?
It is.
A lot of history.
Right.
Quick
And
question.
Thank you.
Mantera Design, I just couldn't find. Who are they?
Excuse me?
Mantera Design? So on the proposal,
Well, that would be down the road. There is the, you're talking about the chicken coop?
No, I'm talking about on the proposal here.
Oh,
I know who ETN is.
that is something that will be ultimately part of landscape planning, okay? And what we're asking for is the money to make, to enable this firm to put together a plan. And that plan is the basis for the need for the money. In order to make application to the Morris County Historic Preservation Trust Fund Advisory Board, it has to at least be $50,000.
Oh, and more.
We're asking for 68 long-term, but the initial sum of money is 20% of that figure, which is about $13,000.
So Ed, I got a question. So
Yes.
the 68,875 is just for the plan. Say this gets approved by the council, and say this company comes back with a plan for $200,000 worth of landscaping, walkways.
Stuff.
Well, right now, we're asking for this sum of money.
I understand that, but
I don't know what they're going to
say they
ask
come
for
back
down the
with
road.
200,000.
Yeah.
Is the Morris County Historic Preservation Trust Board, did I say it right?
Close.
The Morris County Historic Preservation Trust Fund Advisory Board.
Okay,
So close.
is that something that they would fund?
Well, they will only act upon what has been asked of them by the society, okay? And with the money coming from the township, okay? With 20%. And let me leave here and have another.
Thanks, Dad.
Okay. Hi, Bob Friedman. I'm a secretary of the Historic Society. So I'll try to maybe help clarify that kind of question. So the initial proposal would be to create a design.
I understand.
Right. And yes, they may come back with a sum of money to actually do the work. 'Cause the initial design, this is not, shovel, there's no shovel in dirt. This is just a plan. So then, yes, I think what we'd expect is either next year, so, January 2025 or even 2026, to go back to the Historic Preservation County Fund and say, oh, look, we've got a plan here. The plan is $600,000. Can you pay 80% of that? So I think our expectation is that there's no obligation to do that second part on the part of the township at the moment. And probably, we would expect that the township wouldn't go forward unless that second funding did occur. But you have to do it, first you have to get the plan, and then a proposal, next year or the year after to do, to get a grant for the actual work.
Bob, would that also include the, landscape maintenance?
So currently, the township has been very good about kind of doing the routine kind of maintenance, and that's done by the township maintenance department, so that would be kind of perpetual and separate, I believe. I did want to make a couple other points, and then we'll get back if you have more questions. So my understanding is that the putting in the proposal would be the job of Adam. He's been good at this. Him, as well as previous town managers, had been creating these proposals, sending them to the county, and we've been successful in them being granted. So we're kind of asking that the town council approves this and then asks Adam to do it, right? Because then, in the end, that's managed by the town manager, and then if the grant occurs, then I believe that the town would then put out for bid the actual work. So you don't actually have to go with that landscape architect. It's a draft. It's to get an estimate so that a proposal can be written, but then you could pick a different landscape architect. You're not obligated to use that one. I don't think the obligation is part of the proposal of using that particular company. Right, so that the town would then follow whatever its bidding process is to get people that and the selection done in that fashion.
You used the number of 600,000. Did they give you a ballpark of what everything's going to be?
I believe that was Dave's number.
He said 200,000. You said 600,000. I was like, oh, boy.
No,
Did they give you,
No, I don't have that
talking
information.
benches and tables
No,
and
sorry,
all that, the
and
actual
sorry if
work?
I gave anyone a heart attack over that.
Okay.
Just interject before you get into
Or as you bring your checkbook, you can say whatever number you want.
Kathy Winterfield. I'm a
on the Historic Society to Executive Committee. I spoke to Ray Chang about this, and he is the one who directed us to do this. And yes, they have paid for this for other sites in Morris County. So your question was, have they done this? Yes, they have.
The plan and
They've done the plan and the work.
Okay.
They have approved grants for that. So that's how we went to this. And Ray is the one who told me to call HMR, who told me that they don't do it, but he deals with this guy. And Ray is the one who he didn't say it, but he said it firmly that that's what I should do. Because I guess that's somebody who they're comfortable with, and they do that. So that's exactly why we did that. So this is an estimate. They wanted to come out and do a site tour. I said, we're not even ready for that. What you need here to make a decision to move forward was a number. We didn't know if this was going to be 30,000, 60,000, 120,000. We have no idea what they're going to come back with after we do this and bid it out. But hopefully we'll do it like the house. You do it in stages. You don't have to do $600,000 at once. You might do one meadow 1 year, another meadow another year, or you might do it all at once. But that's for the future. But this is to come up with a plan.
So just so council is aware, the Historic Trust Fund is not going to do a grant unless there is a plan.
Right, exactly.
We can't go to a
have to have a plan
landscaper and say,
first,
hey, tell us how much this is going to be, and then submit the landscaping bill.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to follow their rules and regulations, and one of it is to do this.
How much money do we have in open space right now?
Enough.
The exact dollar figure I can't pull off the top of my head, but roughly $500,000.
So 14,000.
Kathy, I got a quick
Isn't even
question.
going to make a dent. Yeah, sure.
So, other than the landscaping, we've done a lot to the house. The house looks beautiful.
The house is done.
Is the landscaping the last thing we have to do? And I'm not talking about the chicken coop.
I was going to say,
Kind of
no,
like its
because
own
I
Don't even go to the
that
chicken
coop.
Yeah,
But I
pretty
mean,
much,
in
that's it.
reality,
Yeah, because we wanted to open up, and we were going to open up for a Christmas party,
Right.
but the sewer project, didn't enable us to do that. But the grounds right now are really a mess. Like, it's not ready to be open. Like, we want to do a tea. We have a fundraiser plan for the spring, but I'm a little concerned because the place is a muddy mess.
but
There's-
other than that, there's no
It's
other
ready.
big projects we need to do to
No, they're
finish.
small. There's just small projects. We want to do internet, we want to do cameras, we want to do security, we want to do all that, but none of that's big. No, this is the end.
So, I'm going to ask for a
And a maintenance
straw
plan.
poll.
I just had a quick question. So, like, I'm sitting here looking at the Morris County Historical Preservation Trust Fund grants that have been awarded in the past. So, like, huh?
Yeah.
Right. So, in the past, there's been about 20 to 25 awarded throughout the county each year. So, are some of those grants in the other towns and stuff could even have been for a piece like what you're talking about?
Yeah, they are, because I spoke to Ray and asked him
Right, 'cause I'm looking at
specifically
the different
that.
numbers. Somebody said something about something had to be at least 50 or 60,000, and I see some that are
To
even
apply
less
for a
than that, or
The
more than that.
key is you have to submit an application.
Right.
You're asking for a certain sum of money,
Yeah.
and it's 80/20.
Right, okay, got
The
it.
county
Yeah.
will give 80, up to 80%. The town or the funding source, which would be the township, would be just 20% of that
Right.
figure that you're asking for.
Yeah, no, I got it. It looked like back in 2019, correct me if I'm wrong, was the last time we did something for the Morton Berry House on this. We've done some things for the railroad.
Right.
And then I don't think we did anything in 20, 21, 22, 23 was the railroad. And we haven't done anything on Morton Berry since 19.
You can go
Okay.
back every
I just-
year to
I was just checking.
the county board
Right.
for funding, okay? And it could be more than one project.
Right.
It doesn't have to be two. We're just asking here for this year
Yeah.
coming for
And-
the
Right.
20%
Right, and-
for this landscape.
Yeah.
Before we ask for the straw poll, I do remember meeting with the board, because they came out and they looked,
Yeah.
and usually, and I'm not guaranteeing it, but usually they've said, once they start a project, they want to see
I
it
was
all
just
the
going
way
to
to
say
the
that.
end.
I was just going to, they're
And
more
that's-
apt to
So-
help us out because they've
So-
been there and they've helped us every year.
They're gonna
so they
finish.
don't-
So let's take a straw poll. Who wants to possibly fund the 13,000?
Yes.
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
John? Sure.
Question, so, my questions, do they require other proposals or just one? One
No,
seems kind of fun.
this is just a proposal so we can get money to get a proposal. This is just an estimate.
This is a benchmark for the purposes of the grant.
So we're paying $68,000, we're not even getting a plan out of it?
No, we're not paying that. That's what we're.
No, this is a proposal that the society solicited to base the grant application on.
Gotcha.
So if the grant is awarded, the township can execute a normal procurement process to select whoever it wants, whether it be these folks or someone else.
Okay, and then what is the average timeline for this type of work?
We've never done this before. We don't know. We don't know. This is all new, and it's one home.
This is, John, this is just for them to come out and say, okay, yeah. Put
And
this
for
over here,
2024,
put this over here.
that's one way.
This needs to be fixed, but it's not actually
closet decorator.
planning any plants.
No, I get that.
Give you
but-
plans.
But we're not even getting a plan out of this?
Well, no, eventually you'll get a plan in 2020.
Yes, this will,
We apply and get the grant, and we'll solicit people, and then they'll be working on that plan.
It's a slow process.
County board level, this is referred to as a non-construction project.
Right.
It's trying to put in place a plan for later applications for actual, if there is construction involved. This is a plan, a site plan on land.
So we are getting a plan, got it.
Are we going to try to work on, like, I'm seeing their deadline for 2024 says Wednesday, February 28th for intent.
Yes, that's why we're
And
here.
then Thursday, March 28th for grant application deadline.
Correct.
Yes.
That's why we're making this application.
Right.
We don't want to miss the window and then go another year.
Right, right.
Yeah. If we miss this window, then we have to wait again.
Yes.
Got a question for Adam.
All right, wait, so you're a yes, you're a yes. John? Melissa?
Yes.
All right, so we got 5 votes for this, so I think, Adam?
I don't get to vote.
Direct them to tell, do what you gotta do to get it to Adam.
Adam, do you think you can get it done for the grant
I
cycle?
have no concerns.
Excellent. Make it
Thank you, everyone, for coming
thank
out.
Thank you.
One more step forward.
And hopefully we have the money when they say it's a 200 or 300 or
He said 600.
$600,000 project.
Oh, you should have seen
One
that
step at a time.
It was 200. You're like, yeah, it's 600,000. I'm like, I like Kathy's idea.
all
Do the
good, it's all
meadow,
good.
maybe a
Okay.
bench here, maybe add a picnic table here, and then once people start going in, then they're going to donate more money.
Right.
They're going to
People
see
will
it, and if you have a donation
donate.
box, the more they.
Once it gets open.
All right, at this time, are there any reports or comments from any volunteers serving our community?
I'll make another comment. Bob Freeman, Historical Society. Hey,
Bob.
Hi, and I hope I'll live down that if I misstated that number. So I did want to say we do try to do historical talks, and so we do have one planned in January. So January 9th, we actually have a talk at the library, so we're doing it jointly with the library, I hope. So January 9th at 7 o'clock, we'd have a talk on the JFK assassination. It's the 60th anniversary that just passed. So we hope that'll be an interesting talk, and
that's reorg.
the whole community is invited to come. And
That's
so
our
that-
reorg first
That's our
meeting of the new
reorg
year.
first meeting of the year.
I'm sorry for that interference.
Have Kathy record it for us.
Okay. And I did also want to just add that, so the Historical Society, we, as soon as the driveway is a little better, we can get in there, we hope. So we hope that in, maybe by the second quarter, to have more regular hours of opening the house for tours. We also do plan using some of our own money to buy some cameras and do some of that security in a fashion that we could just organize ourselves.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Jay?
Thank you. Jay Wanzik, Chairman of the Township Historic District Preservation Commission and board member of the Nonprofit Historical Society. I just wanted to report that we had two sets of scouts visiting the museum this past month. We had 13 Girl Scouts, plus assorted younger siblings, plus parents. 20 people is the capacity of the museum, and we were filled, and they stayed much longer than they planned to. Earlier, we had a smaller den of Cub Scouts in there. I think it was only 4 Scouts, but there were at least 4 parents and assorted siblings as well. So we're back on schedule. During the pandemic, obviously, visits stopped, and it is picking up now. And I'll speak to in support of the ordinance amendment when that comes up.
Thank you. Any other volunteers? All right, the next item on the agenda is public comment. This public comment period is limited for a total of 30 minutes. An additional public comment is reserved for later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized. Come to the microphone and provide your name for the record. Nick? No address, Nick, just your name. New laws.
I don't have to say 28 Greenwood anymore?
We know it already.
All right, Nick DiStefano. For some of you that know, I was in a serious auto accident over on Lincoln Park Road a couple months ago. And what's interesting about that bend over there by the condos, right by the Knights of Columbus, is, I start work early in the morning. I go in at 5, I come home at 1:30. So I never knew how crazy that turn is later on in the day or later on in the morning. So, a head-on collision, a kid coming around that bend, way too fast, heading towards Lincoln Park. And after that happened, I basically went around telling people about it, and talked to some of the the people that do auto repairs around town, and they're like, "Oh, we don't even take the cars that way." And then I was in Lincoln Park talking to Jerry at Jerry's show. He goes, "Yeah, we don't even drive down that way," because they're worried about test driving the cars because of the seriousness. So I was like, that's pretty interesting. So I started to talk to some of the people that live on that bend, and they told me that, there's at least a serious accident there once a year. And the one family, the Williams family that lives right on that bend, he says when he takes his garbage out, he said probably at least twice a month, there's screeching tires and somebody trying to get out of the way. And then I talked to another older person who said, which was very interesting to me, was, many years ago, that guardrail wasn't even there. They complained and got that guardrail put there because the cars coming into Pequannock would get in accidents there and push them over the embankment into the woods. So they requested that guardrail be put there. Now, with that said, a friend called me on Saturday night. Another serious accident on that bend. So, my thought process is just, do something. Now, if you're heading towards Lincoln Park, where most of the people are losing control going into that other lane, the speed limit's 20 miles an hour. If you're coming from the Lincoln Park side, all the signs leading up to that are 15 miles an hour, and if you go up towards the lake, it's 5 miles an hour. So, I don't know if it's a county road or not, but, all I'm saying is something really serious is going to happen there. And if what the people are telling me is true, whether it be, Bach Automotive, scared to drive their cars, test drive people's cars over that way, it's got to be pretty serious. Now, all the years I've been driving that, I work in Lincoln Park, but I go early, so I've never seen it, but the number of people that have come up to me telling me, and it's all the same thing, if you're coming into Pequannock, for some reason, now, if you lower it to 10, will that maybe slow people down a hair? If it slows down people a hair, it's something. It's something. Because if they're approaching that sign, especially if it's wet out, and they're hitting it at, 25, 30, it might be a little too fast. So anyhow, that's my thought with that is, I think we need to look into something because, whether, checking with the first aid squad or, these police officers, I don't know if they've ever been called to an accident on that bend over by the condos, but it's definitely something that, I'm definitely concerned about, especially me having a head-on collision, and then obviously these people last weekend.
Mr. Brewer will have to ask the traffic division to give us some data, and we'll look.
And like I said, even
we'll
if
look
it's a
into it, but
sign change.
It's a county road.
Yeah.
So we can't do anything.
Can't do anything.
It's a county road?
Yeah, so, it has to go to the county, but.
Do you remember, Nick, quick question. When you're coming from that direction, from Pequannock to Lincoln Park, that's a hairpin corner there. It's like a 90-degree. I'm trying to remember. Do you remember seeing the yellow arrows? When you usually come up to like a hairpin corner like that on other roads, there's usually big yellow arrow signs. Do you remember?
Yeah, they're there.
They are there?
They're there. It's just that bend,
run that road like
that bend when you're coming from Pequannock is just real sharp.
Oh, there is. It's on the other side of that thing.
Where if you're coming from Lincoln Park, the way the yellow lines work is it kind of sends you to that guardrail where I was slammed into and where this other car was slammed into on Saturday night, which is why they put that guardrail there, because before that they were going down the embankment. So, I just think something's going to happen, and hopefully it doesn't. But it's definitely something that's got to be looked at, because at the end of the day, it's our town, and it could be somebody, from town.
Yeah.
So. All right, the other thing I want to bring up is about the reassessments that's happening in the town right now. Now, I actually met with the appraisal systems people today in this very room. So, and one of my concerns is because of this annual reassessment, and if you appeal your assessment, go through the hassle, pay the money, be awarded your appeal, which is what happened with me. I won my appeal, had my settlement in June, and then I get a letter in November totally nullifying, the agreement of my appeal, and then raise it another 10, 15%. So, there's a freeze act that New Jersey has. Now, granted, if you're doing a reassessment, the freeze act does not apply under most circumstances. But if you're doing a reassessment every year, your town is under a constant reassessment. So you, as somebody who pays the money and goes through the appeal process, now that we're doing annual reassessments, you, as somebody, a homeowner who's challenging these reassessments, you have no backup. And part of the reason why the Freeze Act was put into place is somebody like me who wins my appeal, or you sign a stipulation.
Answer the question legally, because I have no idea legally.
Well, yeah, it's not rules we make locally, of course.
Yeah, no, I
The
understand.
Freeze Act rules are state laws, and those are rules that we abide and we do. And I think the reason why when you do a revaluation or a reassessment, the Freeze Act doesn't apply.
Yeah, revaluation does not apply to the Freeze Act.
Yeah, that's right. In either case, it doesn't apply, and the reason is because everyone in town's property is being relooked at. And if you froze, in a reassessment year, if you froze in what happened on appeals the year before, that would be unfair to everybody else who didn't bring appeals those years, and that's why I think the state has set up that system. I get what you're saying. It is, and by the way, that's part of the advantage to the municipality to have the annual reassessments, is we have an ability to move, to correct these things every year without having to go through without having to.
Well, that's the main reason
So
why.
it's just built into it, but those aren't our rules, and we can't really do anything about them.
Oh, yeah, no, I
We
understand.
couldn't create a local Freeze Act, Nick. We just don't have the authority to do that. Under the state rules, we would have to we would not have a Freeze Act as long as we did the annual reassessments.
But my concern are, from what I'm finding out, is it appears that the people who live in the flood zone, and, for obvious reasons, but are having the largest increases. And people that I know that have gone from $7,000 a year to $9,200 a year. People that have gone from $5,000 to $7,000. This is an incredible increase in a short period of time. And listen, $9,200 to live on Roosevelt Street, and then you're paying flood insurance on top of it. I'd rather live at 267 Boulevard, where their property taxes are $9,300. I mean, my thing is that the reason why people would buy a home in the flood zone would be to save money because they want to live in Pequannock, Pompton Plains. But by raising these values so much, they've taken that away, because now if you add up what people have to pay in flood insurance and these incredible 40%, 38%, I mean, I've sent you guys emails. It's endless. Now, just imagine what I had sent you earlier in the year. Bump every one of them up 10 to 15%. 10 to 15%. So I understand, and I know some fault of my own. I'm the one who started this elevation program. And I knew when I first presented it, and Ryan, we go back a long way, Melissa knows too, I knew that it would increase the property values, of course. But 40%, 38%, 40%, and now you're paying as much as the people on the other side of the tracks. And then, on top of all that, when I got this reassessment, you're supposed to have three homes included in your comps. Two of these homes are not even in the flood zone. So when I met with the reassessment company today, I go, show me the comps. You can't sit there and say, I'm going to raise your assessment $200,000, and you have one applicable comp? It's insane. Oh, here's two homes from Della. I go, I live in a floodway, and two of the homes that you're showing as are not even in the flood zone, it's just beyond bizarre. It's just, and then to see that people on the boulevard are having their property taxes reduced $3,000? It's
just...
Welcome to New Jersey.
No, this is something completely different.
So
Completely different.
it is the point you're making is
And the
is different.
ratio
It's
that
about-
we're being taxed at is much higher. I mean, my taxes went up more than John's. Mine went up a little more than yours.
So it really is.
And 9 of my houses could fit in John's house.
It's really all about the values, and if the values went up more in certain areas, that is absolutely going to show itself when you do a reassessment. And that's the point of appeals. You exercised it last year. They are not the end result. They're not the they're not the last word on it. You can go to the County Board of Taxation as you did and raise it, and that's what you do. And
that's what I did, and they just pretty much nullified it.
So is that because you were in the 25% reassessment? Like, in other words...
Well, that's the other question. Who's in the annual? Who's in the once every 3 years? If I knew I was in the once every 3 years, I'd be like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm in the every year reassessment.
We're all in the every year reassessment, the inspections. Only 25% of the properties get inspected.
looked at.
Mm-hmm.
But every value
Right,
gets...
that's what I meant, but it
Yes.
can be ones that won their appeal can also be in the 25%.
Of course, yes. In fact, if you appealed, then we know there would be inspections, because that's part of the process when there's an appeal.
But then that appeal's only good for a year?
It is, because your values change by the next year. Everybody's values change because we come to new values, so they set the new values every year. All of ours.
And John, this is going to happen every year, which is just like, why would you pay the money and go through the hassle?
The $25.
When you don't even...
It's what you would do. I mean, that's how you do that. And you can certainly have a discussion with the reassessment company, and I would ask if they settled it with you last year and agreed to that number, talk to them about that.
No,
They're good last
that's what I did today.
And we'll see what they do. See what they do with that next.
Well, that's the whole point. If a stipulation agreement is only good for 4 months,
well, it's not.
What good is that piece of paper?
Got back money, I guess.
Yeah, it's not only good. It's not only good for 4. It's based upon what the value was October 1st of the year before. So it's the year. It's the difference in value from one year to the next.
Yeah.
And that's the way the process works.
So you just keep doing it again.
So we'll be in a constant state of appeals, and it's supposed to. This was all supposed to minimize appeals.
Yeah. It is, and it
sounds
does.
a little backwards.
It certainly minimizes exposure. We'll have to see how that plays out. Well, I'd be interested to see how many repeat appeals we have and hear from the assessor on that, because I think they probably look at that.
Yeah, I mean, I know in my neighborhood, people are flipping out. Flipping out.
Yeah. Well,
But a lot of people raise their houses.
These are not houses that are elevated. My next door neighbor's houses went up $2,800, in taxes.
So the last time they...
And that's not elevated.
The last time they were assessed was 2013, and if I remember correctly, it's right after a flood. So across the values of those homes were definitely lower. But Nick, you know for sure that the homes that are selling in the village are selling a lot more than they did 10 years ago.
A lot more.
A lot more. So of course, if they're selling for a lot more, those taxes are going to go up. I'm not buying,
And Dave, I'm all with you.
Yeah.
But when they start approaching the same taxes that are people not in the special flood hazard area or a floodway, there's something wrong. Something wrong. Because when they have to pay their flood insurance premiums, now they're paying more than somebody living, on Della or Cameron.
We'll see what the company does, Bob.
And again, you can talk to the company, you can talk to the assessor.
I'm doing all that.
Supervise it, and that's you're doing what you need to do.
Okay.
Okay?
Any other public comment? Nope. Next on the agenda is the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Maybe the record for the longest time going without speaking at a council meeting. A few items quickly to run through. This evening on the council's agenda, you have two ordinances that are scheduled for public hearing and potential adoption. They were discussed more significantly at the last meeting. The first is, I like to think of it as the Historical Preservation and Protection Ordinance, which establishes rules that the police department can enforce in terms of those individuals who are on the train station as well as Martin Berry House property. Previously, there was no real enforcement power to ask someone to leave. Essentially, the ordinance establishes the operations to be those times when there are scheduled events or activities or they are open for business. So obviously, the police department exercises some discretion, and if there are issues, they can move people along, which otherwise might create vandalism. There's also an ordinance for public hearing and potential adoption for recreational activity fees, predominantly pertaining to PD Park and recreation soccer. General public announcement, we have 5 applicants for police record licenses for 2024. As the council may recall, because this was a subject of some discussion, we have 4 spots. So, on December 19th at 3 o'clock p.m., there will be a public drawing, much like ballot position is handled. I will bring the hat. And what color? It depends. It could be brown, it could be blue. Depends on what I'm wearing that day. And the township clerk will facilitate the selection of those individuals to be awarded record licenses in 2024. So once again, that's December 19th at 3 p.m. Not as thrilling as a bid opening, but people may choose to participate and come and watch. So the council and the public are aware of those parties that submitted applications were notified of this, so they will be aware of it if they choose to come participate. And lastly, the council has on for its consideration the collective negotiating agreements that were negotiated with the PBA and SOA this year. Those agreements were negotiated subject to discussion and direction from and with the council. I think they should have got a little less. They think they should have got a little more, so we probably came up with a deal that's pretty good. I would like to thank those officers that participated in the negotiating process. It was genuinely a collaborative process. I've been party to some acrimonious negotiations, and this was not that. That said, we both definitely had strong positions and worked through things. There was a lot of cleaning up that took place in the contract. There were some issues that were addressed from a management perspective and also some issues from labor's perspective. So if the council sees fit, that is scheduled for potential authorization of ratification, and the new contract will come into effect on January 1st, 2024. Unless there's any questions, that concludes my report.
I have a question. For the PV Park, are we raising the cost for people who use our lake and make money off it?
I don't know who those people would be.
Like Spot 23 does their camps, like different
The individual
camps?
camp rates? That's not as a component of this ordinance.
Okay. This is just the individual.
If the council would like to have that done, unfortunately, we've run out of meetings in 2023. That could be put together for 2024 in January.
Yeah, I hate to raise our resident rates and not raise the rates of people who they go to the camps, they spend all day there, they meet there, their camp is basically held at PV Park.
I know there was a significant decrease in usage by a nonprofit that pays to participate, and the rates may have been a factor in that, I'm not sure, but again, if the council wants to see that put into place, we can draft that for consideration in January of 24.
I would like to. How does everybody else feel?
We haven't notified them of rates for 2024?
No, we don't typically. The rates are published.
I'd hold off. And you want to talk about it in 2024?
Yeah, because I can't remember what the rate was for commercial, so I'd like to know that.
We can prepare a full presentation as we've done in the past. I apologize for not having a full presentation this time.
I just need numbers. I don't need a full presentation.
Right.
But we like presentations.
I know.
No, we don't.
All right, just bring us something like this.
We'll prepare documentation and present it in a discussion item.
I don't know that we raised them last year, maybe the year before, but, the drop-off and pickup is at our lake, so we're raising it for our residents.
Or I'd like to take a look at
And I know
rates.
there's only one for-profit, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, there's only one for-profit that does it, so.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, just going back to the historic sites and this ordinance. So are the town's going to post signs, saying like closed or open or something? Is that like?
We'll review with council what's required and make sure everything is done.
What was the question?
In a manner that's
Well,
signage.
Like you're going to have to put signage up there.
The answer would be yes.
Yeah.
The ordinance
Trying
would
to
require
figure out
signs.
like where you do it, around the perimeter of the railroad station?
We'll figure out a way to do it that's not obtrusive.
Just going to say no loitering.
We'll let the guy who we're paying $68,000 figure out where to put the damn signs.
That's right. All right, great.
All right. Any other questions? John, you're good?
Well said, Councilwoman.
All right. There are no public hearings scheduled for this evening.
Oh, no.
We do.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
2023-14.
That's not what it says in my book here.
Yeah, well, you got to go to the next page, sorry. That would be a cut and paste error.
Oh, yes. Miss that. Skip that page.
All right, so there are public
Record reflect it was confirmed by council.
Next on the agenda is public hearing on ordinance number 2023-14. Ms. Marsh.
Sorry about that. This is ordinance number 2023-14, amending Chapter 237 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Pequannock and including township historic sites in the regulations governing township parks.
Okay, any comments from council?
Nope.
Is there a motion to open to public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If anyone in the audience has questions or comments on the ordinance, please come to the microphone and identify yourself for the record.
Jay Wanzik, Chairman of the Historic District Preservation Commission, and the commission discussed this proposed ordinance at our November meeting when it was considered to be introduced, and also at our past meeting last week, and we're very much in favor of whatever we can do to ameliorate the situation. It's been fluctuating. August and September were light, September unusually light, and October it picked up again. So we need to give the police whatever they need to have it. And I don't know if, Paul, you wanted to say, because we reviewed it with the Historic Society as well.
Paul Habman with the Historical Society, absolutely. I'm aware of what's been going down around the station, and I shudder to think if that crowd takes it into their heads to come down to the Martin Berry House and start having their kind of fun down there. So
let's knock on wood and hope that doesn't happen.
Exactly. And we're going to do our part to try and discourage that as well, but pass away.
All right, thanks for your support.
Pass away. What do you think?
Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance
Let's
number
get it.
2023-14.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dreesy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Cole?
Yes. Next on the agenda is public hearing on ordinance number 2023-15. Ms.
Can I make
Marsh.
a motion to table that till 2024? Because that's the one. Yes, Adam.
that was on something.
Respectfully, if the council sees fit to increase these rates, it's typically something that people buy as a gift or other things, so these become effective in January. If we want to additionally raise the rates for other groups, that can subsequently happen.
So you're saying doing it.
I would respectfully request we not table this, we do this and then do that again if the council wants to.
Got it. All right, I refrain from my change.
Okay, is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If anyone in the audience has any questions or comments on this ordinance, please come to the microphone and identify yourself for the record. God bless you.
Bless you.
Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2023-15.
Second.
Second. You talk.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dreesy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Cole?
Yes. All right, I hope I'm saying this right. There are no ordinances scheduled for this time.
Good job.
Next on the agenda is resolutions. Ms. Marsh.
Beginning with Resolution R 2023-231, authorizing cancellation of outstanding checks. 232, canceling 2023 solid waste utility budget appropriations. 233, authorizing the transfer of 2023 current fund budget appropriations. 234, confirming the designated memberships in the Pequannock Township Fire Department. 235, authorizing the acceptance of a hold harmless agreement from Elaine Ferrazano for Block 604, Lot 4.01, which is 2 Juniper Court. R 2023-236, ratifying the collective bargaining agreements between the Township of Pequannock and the Police Benevolent Association and Superior Officers Association. 2023-237, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations. And R 2023-238, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the December 8th, 2023 bill list and 2018 FEMA elevation escrow list.
Thank you, Ms. Marsh. Are there any comments on the resolutions from council?
No, sir.
No.
All right. Is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I make a motion to adopt R 2023-231 through R 2023-238.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dracy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Cole?
Yes, but I'll abstain from R 2023-236. All right. There are no items for discussion. There are no reports or notices. Next on the agenda is council reports and announcements. Councilman Dracy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're more than welcome.
I'd like to congratulate our newest junior firefighter. Thank you for stepping up. If anybody else wants to, first aid squad's got room, firefighters got room, they all got room. So, welcome. Come on up. Next thing, tree lighting was pretty cool. A little rainy, but pretty cool. So, it was nice. About 5 minutes before it started, there was like nobody out there. I was a little worried, but then they came out in droves, which was very nice. So, I guess that's about it. I just would like to wish everybody Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, or whatever other holiday you celebrate this time of year. Have a good one with the family.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Councilman Dracy. Councilwoman Florence Lynch.
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of echo what John went over. I got a lot of thank yous. Thank you to the First Aid Squad. Listen to the trucks. Thank you to the First Aid Squad. Last night, we stopped into their holiday dinner after the meeting, so that was nice to just get to relax and talk with them. Thank you to the Historical Society. We stopped in at their holiday party this past Sunday, so thank you for that. The tree lighting celebration, the celebration of Light and Hope, the tree lighting, that was great. Thank you to, there was a lot of organizations that pulled that together and helped out. The Rotary was involved, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts. So even though it rained, it was a great event.
Good trucks, too.
Yeah, and good trucks. The First Aid Squad, the mayor will probably talk about this more because I could not attend that, but the Santa breakfast, I heard, went really well this past Saturday. I was unable to attend. Let's see what else. This Thursday, from 1 to 3, the township is hosting a senior luncheon. It's done by the town, but it was spearheaded by the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee. I think they're full already, but if not, the sign-ups were through Parks and Rec. And it's a senior luncheon at the senior house from 1 to 3, and that's this Thursday. What else? My Economic Development Committee is meeting on Monday, the 18th. For any, normally the public doesn't come, but they're more than welcome. And this meeting, they're actually having it at one of the members' houses. Tish Oslander had offered to have a holiday thing at her house for Economic Development Committee, so that's where we're meeting on the 18th.
Is that posted?
Where else? And then congratulations to Alexa Reeves, junior firefighter. And looking forward to our reorganization meeting on January 19th at 6 o'clock here.
January 9th.
I mean, January 9th. What did I say?
You said 19.
January 9th, that would be a little late. And, yeah, that would be, I already thought, I thought January 9th was pushing it. But other than that, I don't have anything new. Just Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah and enjoy your time off.
We will have one more meeting.
have another meeting,
Before
yeah.
Christmas.
Oh, that's right, we do have one more, don't we?
21st at 1 o'clock? 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, right?
Councilman Hurd?
I forgot about that one. Thanks for
Mayor.
reminding me.
If anybody wants to join us on the 1st, it'd be a quick meeting, but it'd be great. We'd love to see all the people.
21st?
On the
21st.
21st, yeah.
21st, it's a building.
He's getting his dates.
Seriously,
19th,
all of you
21st.
guys.
Rubbing off.
Anybody see them at Tavern 5 before the meeting?
I think so.
Did I miss them?
Anyway, I had the honor of sitting on 2 Eagle Scout project revisions, and this is where Boy Scout, I want to say, end their journey or really begin their journey. This is where they go for their Eagle Scout, and it's very interesting. I did 2 of these this year. I got to say, these guys put a lot of work into it. Everything leading up to Eagle Scout, from all their badges to the physical Eagle Scout project. And I just want to say, that's one of the things that make this town great. We have a very strong Cub Scout, Boy Scout, Eagle Scout. We're one of the top towns in the nation to have the amount of Eagle Scouts that we have. So that's very cool. So congratulations to Jacob Goldbeck and Dominic Giosi. I know there was one more. I think, Mayor, you sat on one this year?
I did.
I think this was this year, right?
Nano Krefeld.
There you go.
Yes.
Nathaniel Krefeld.
Yeah.
So we're going to have some parties for them coming up. I don't know when, but that'll be very cool. Let's see. First Aid Squad. Yes, pancake breakfast was an absolute hit. They had 453 people.
You sold out, right?
They sold out plus more and ran out of food, so they had to run and get more food. It was awesome. It was packed. I know I saw Mayor there, and then I was there for a little bit. Everything was packed. By Santa was packed, and the back was packed, the bays were packed, everything was packed, so that was great. These, First Aid Squad is volunteers. That's Santa. I hope he's coming here. I'm so excited. Anyway.
Were you good?
I hope so. I pray that I was. But these groups keep on giving. The First Aid Squad keeps on giving. They're giving for the pancake breakfast. Their whole goal was really just to put some smiles on the kids. They do the Oktoberfest, which puts smiles on the adults. We definitely had some smiles there that day. Overall, up until, give you an idea, last year, 2022, they did a total of 1,014 calls. To date, 2023, they've done 1,059 calls, so a little bit more, but for December, we've only got 50 calls, so we expect to have another 40, 50, so I think they'll break that 1,100 calls. To give you an idea on how many hours that is, for 2023, up until now, 19,681 volunteer hours.
Wow.
That's volunteer. These guys don't get paid for it. Guys and gals, they do this for, because they love it. And it's a direct benefit to the residents of Pequannock. And it really shows itself in our response time. Somebody has an issue, get a call, we're there within minutes. And just to remind you, these guys work the grave shift, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., and then they also work Saturday and Sunday. So they do a great job. They put so much time into them, and I gotta say, I really respect them. So that is great. With that said, I was talking to somebody from Lincoln Park. Here's something interesting for council. And we were just talking about, all of our volunteers. We were talking about Fire Company 1 and 2 and First Aid Squad, and then all of our volunteers for all of our historic and open space and everybody. And they said that they did a proclamation for all of the volunteers specifically. I said, that's pretty interesting. So I asked them to send it over to me. He sent it over to me. I think it's pretty cool. This is something I would like to do, especially, maybe after the reorg meeting. But again, just to really show our appreciation to the volunteers. I know we say it, but to put it in words and give them a copy, I think that'd be great. So if anybody's interested, I have the proclamations here. But it's something that I would like to do for our volunteers. Other than that, that's all I have. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Councilwoman Russell.
Okay, ditto what everybody else said. I won't go over everything. A couple of things from the environmental. I know you guys all got the email about all the things they do. They really do a lot, this Environmental Commission. A lot of people, they don't realize how much they really do. So I'm just going to go over just some of the highlights. They have a Foothills Park pollinator garden that they worked on. The Trex plastic film recycling program they work on, and they've been able to put in a couple benches around for that. They do an annual styrofoam collection, and they collect the styrofoam. It's going to be January 14th this year. They're down at PV Park. They collect it. They take it back to a place because they don't want styrofoam. They did an Earth Day display at the library from April 6th to April 30th. They did a mini bio-blitz where you have a coordinated with a watershed ambassador who went around and they identified different species in our things, in our lakes and in our parks. Annual Mayor's River Cleanup they were a part of. Rain Barrel Workshop is a big hit. They show people how to make their own rain barrel. They do the booths at the public events. Library rain garden improvements in September they did. They did a Halloween candy wrapper recycling drive in October and November, and they did presentations at various schools. So they really do a lot for people. And their meeting is going to be a week from tomorrow. With the library, we had a meeting, and Bob, I just wanted to ask you the clarification. The library gets a little over $1 million a year from taxes. They use what they have, and then there's a formula that they use to figure out how much they should give back if they have money left over, or they can take that and put it in their capital. So one girl had asked me, what could you do with that money? And I stated it could be used for things to benefit Pequannock. Even though it's tax relief, if we're not raising the taxes to give the people, say, new roads or a new pickleball court, that still counts as property tax relief. Is that correct?
Right. It's statutory, first of all, and it's not a volunteer return. It's a statutory return of funds that are not spent, and the statute does talk about it being used for tax relief. Well, of course, tax relief, anytime you don't spend money on something that the township has to do or chooses to do,
right,
and you have another source of income for that, that's tax relief.
Okay.
When it, and I think it really is as simple as that. It is not something which is required, to send $2 back to every taxpayer.
Right.
And tax relief, or to put a credit on everybody's tax bill.
Correct. Right.
And show it.
That's what I was trying to say.
It's a budget. It's a budget issue, and Mr. Brewer could speak better than I as to how it shows up in the budget. But it shows up in the budget as essentially replacing what otherwise would have to be raised by tax funds.
Right.
So yeah, in a sense, you're right when you say if it replaces money, we'd have to raise another way.
Correct. It's required as a line item of revenue in the budget that is ultimately presented for the council's adoption.
So
it
just
specifically calls it out as a revenue is a dollar amount. And
so if it wasn't for that,
so
the revenue would...
In lieu of property taxes being raised X dollars, Y amount of revenue was brought in from this source, therefore it is property tax relief.
So just to clarify, First Aid Squad needs another rig, and there it's like a 27-month, build period. So something like that could be used to offset the cost of the rig instead of raising taxes for the cost of that rig.
Right. And it's just as a budget.
It's not directly, as the council may be aware through the budget process. There are a number of miscellaneous revenues in addition to property taxation that are used to support the roughly $20 million current fund. So it's just brought in as an item of revenue associated with the operation of the municipal budget. It's not directly tied as it would be, for example, with an interlocal agreement or a grant to a specific purpose.
Got it.
Gotcha. I'll try to re-explain that tomorrow, but every time I try to explain that, I'm literally told I'm wrong. So now we have it on tape. Good. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman Russell. All right. For me, the Pequannock tree lighting was great. Hopefully, the weather next year is better. We are due for some nicer weather. It's 2 years in a row. I participated in the New Bridge ribbon cutting ceremony. Congratulations on your new locations right in the center of town and your 60 years of service. Company One met last week. No changes in the officers and the leadership of Company One. The First Aid Squad breakfast was a huge success. The place was packed. Thank you for inviting us to your Christmas party last night. Thanks to Company 2 for bringing Santa around to the Company 2 area and bringing joy to all the residents. It seemed like everyone really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Company 1 Santa is this Sunday in their area. Pequannock Historic Christmas Party was this past Sunday. Great turnout, and thank you for that. Congratulations to Alexa Reeves on being a junior fighter. We do have great volunteers, first aid squad, fire departments, committees. I mean, we have a number of great volunteers, and we appreciate all of you. Pequannock Parks and Rec, I attended the Santa in Greenview Park. That was a huge success. They had about 150 to 200 kids there for that. And I think we really need to consider reaching out to DOT for the 2 crossings on Route 23 by Rentals and by Scanlon's. I think there needs to be a green arrow, or people are trying to get through the jug handle and people are trying to make a left to go 23 north by Rentals. The one by Scanlon's is a nightmare because people are trying to go straight to get onto the turnpike. People are trying to make a left on 23. There needs to be either a delayed green or an arrow or something. You can't have the green for both directions.
Totally
I think that's a nightmare. And there was just a recent accident there a couple days ago that was pretty serious. So
Everybody survived though.
Yeah.
I remember we brought that up years ago, and I don't understand why it's so hard to get that.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
Other places have delayed
Just
green.
reprogram the light, right?
Yeah, right.
You need a new light if you run.
If it's amenable to the council, I think the strongest voice would be through the adoption of a resolution requesting attention and action by the Department of Transportation.
Sounds good. Make
If
it
it's
so.
okay with the council, I would draft a
Please do.
resolution. for next meeting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Please do.
And like everyone else said, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, enjoy your time with your family, but we will be here on the 21st, and we'll say it again on that day. So that's all I have.
Dave, can I say 2 more things I forgot to
Make
bring
sure you
up,
invite
and I
them all,
was
Dave.
thinking maybe you were going to bring them up. Let's remind everybody when the last day is for leaf pickup. I know you brought it up last meeting.
The last day you can put the
December
leaves-
17th,
yeah,
Sunday.
December 17th.
That's the last day you can put your leaves out.
Yeah.
They did put that up on the website.
Granted, if there's no snow before that.
It's on our,
Right. It is on the website, and it's probably on the sign.
Come on
but
now,
I just-
pray for snow.
And then the other thing I was going to say, I don't know if you want to mention it, after you told me last night what happened with calling the Congress, Cheryl's office, I had 2 other people come up to me and tell
It's
me.
being rectified
Right.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a week-long project. If you haven't been in the Pequannock Post Office parking lot, there is a huge sinkhole there.
yeah.
Yeah. Mayor took care of
She's in
it.
charge of that.
Yeah.
She was on a town hall last night, or Monday night.
Yeah.
Who?
Did you listen to her town hall?
Yeah, I texted Kelly Duquette yesterday.
Good job.
Took a picture of the sinkhole. I expected a sinkhole like somebody could twist their ankle in. I'm a big guy. I could fall in, and you might not find me. So. But
So if we can't find you, we don't really.
I was kind of shocked how big of the hole it was. So, all right. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized. Come to the microphone and provide your name for the record. Kathy.
Kathy Winterfield, just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, since that's what we're doing, and thank you for all your support for the Historic Society in the Martin Berry House. It'll be a gem when it's done.
Yes, it will.
Can't wait to have another ribbon cutting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? Bob?
Hi, Bob Friedman. I did want to understand more about the library question. So what I heard was, and please correct me, the money that the library didn't spend this year gets returned to the town into the town revenue for next year. I
Right.
think that's what's being discussed.
Well, unless they opted to put it into their capital improvements, to put aside money for future years.
That's what I was going to ask
So
about.
right now, there's
can they?
about $500,000 in there now, and they're going to put another $200,000
Okay.
in there. So they're going to have about $750,000 in capital improvements.
So is there like a minimum and maximum or a target for the capital improvement that they should be hitting?
That's a good question.
No, they had a list of the stuff they wanted to do, a roof and the paving, and do some, they're doing a renovation on the main floor.
So there was a decision that some amount goes to increase their capital reserve fund, and the rest gets returned to the kind of the general revenue.
Capital reserve, so we will get nothing back. So they're not giving anything back. They had done the calculation sheet, and it was like $171,000 back, but then they opted to take $200,000 and put it into capital improvements.
Okay.
Which resolution will be voted on tomorrow.
Okay, so that is permitted. They're allowed to do that.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there, I don't know if it's Bob or Adam, so this is all run by the state, right? So it's all state laws, and there's things that have to be done concerning libraries. Is there a certain amount or that they can keep, or like how does that work? Like, I know there's always stuff, right? Roofs, you need a heating system, so that makes sense. But at what point is it too much, or?
That's a policy decision by the Library Board of Trustees.
So that is
just for a general education perspective, the public library is funded through a calculation known as a third of a mil, which is a percentage of the net equalized valuation of a community that the township is required to raise and transfer. When Governor Christie was the governor, the legislature created a law that the governor signed that said if libraries don't use all of their money, because there were libraries that were banking millions and millions and millions of dollars, and the idea behind the third of the mill funding is it's what you're supposed to need to operate. So the requirement is for a report to be prepared by the library and submitted to the township's chief financial officer detailing what the status of their spending and surplus is. And there's a calculation within the statute that says anything not being, there's a portion that libraries are allowed to keep as surplus, and beyond that ceiling is supposed to be returned to the taxpayers. Back to your earlier question, if the library board decides to reserve that money for a capital improvement, that's well within the library board's prerogative to do so.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Kathy?
Well, I just want to follow up to that library. Are you presently giving them more than what's required? In the past we had, or you're not giving them more than the formula? Hopefully you're not planning to give more this year coming up.
There are some, in the past there was historically more, it's been reduced, but there remain some services in excess of the third of a mil.
All right, well, I would hope that in lieu of all this, that next year you only give what's required if they don't need it.
Yeah, that includes landscaping, payroll processing, certain services, custodial services.
Ed? I know, Ed, you want part of that library money.
$68,000.
Okay. On the 20th of November, I attended a meeting at the Morris County Transportation Office, which was sponsored by the group involved with building the bike pedestrian path, as well as the Park Commission through Betty Cash Schmidt. And there was a representative from Pequannock, myself. There was also a representative from Montclair College who was involved in writing a history of the Montclair Railroad, which later became the railroad through town. There was also a member from the Park Commission, as I had said, as well as the transportation. Also, there was a member of the Morris County Historic Preservation Trust Fund Board, and we were asked to give feedback with regard to signage, historic signage along the bike path. One of the projects that is being done with the bike pedestrian path is trying to get information what took place along the bike pedestrian path with history. And we were giving information. That eventually will be produced in the form of a professional firm putting together with signage and kiosks along that area between River Road going all the way down to Mountain View Station. And it was a good session. Eventually, that information will be presented to both Wayne as well as to Pequannock as to what that signage would be, but it should be focused on historic things that have occurred in both communities along the railroad track and in areas near the bike pedestrian path. So
That's
thank
great.
you.
I love those signs.
Yeah.
My son, when he was in middle school, had one of his teachers, and I don't think she's there anymore, their assignment was to go find 10 of those signs in Morris County. So I learned about a tree in Kinnelon and we just went to these different things and we read the whole sign, and then he had to research it. It was wonderful. And the kids got very interested in it.
I mean, needless to say, they were asking for information about the Pompton Plains Railroad Station, which Jay is one of the foremost persons knowledgeable about that, as well as looking for signage, historic signage that will be in Wayne, and what things have occurred in the history of the railroad within the two communities. So,
all right, thank you, Ed.
A lot of history there.
Yeah, if I might add, the county was very proactive in that. They reached out to the Historic Commission about a year and a half ago, and we furnished them with about 30 photographs from our collection, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with them.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Thanks, guys.
All right, next on the agenda is minutes for approval, November 28th regular meeting, November 28th Board of Health meeting. Ryan, you need to abstain. November 26th special meeting. Melissa and John, you need to abstain. Are there any comments on the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I abstained from no.
Except for my abstention.
You're good with that, Carol?
Got it.
All right.
Yes.
Opposed? Good. Next on the agenda is closed session discussion. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2023-239, authorizing the Township Council to meet in executive session to discuss contract negotiations related to the fire official services with Bloomingdale?
So moved.
Second.
I'm not going to say all that again.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? At this time, the public portion of the meeting is recessed for closed session.
Thanks for coming.